From the banking sector, the assertion that most Nigerians live on less than $1 a day has been proven inaccurate by a recent poll conducted by NOI Polls. The nationwide analysis found that a majority of respondents live above $1 a day. The poll found that an average of about $5 was spent daily on feeding. Our CNBC Africa's Umu Ibrahim discussed how Nigeria can have a more realistic threshold for the measurement of poverty in the country with Dr. Bell Ihua. He's a director of research at NOI Polls. Take a look.
Our report basically was to examine the $1 a day poverty threshold. There had been a lot of discussion, analysts, scholars, commentators talking about the percentage of people that live on less than $1 a day. So this basically was a humble contribution to the poverty discourse. We found basically that about 2 in 10 Nigerians, 19% to be precise, lived on less than $1 a day, while about 81% of Nigerians lived above the $1 a day. Now, this does not mean that Nigerians are not poor, but it just found that there is an issue with the $1 a day poverty threshold that is being used.
Now, the assertion that most Nigerians live on less than $1 a day, has for a very long time been a topic of a discussion on both international and national level. Now, where exactly can you say we are in terms of, food, our daily food expenditure today?
Thank you very much. Basically, this is a threshold that has perpetuated itself since the 1980s. And over the years, you see that various organizations have been trying to redefine the $1 a day threshold. For instance, the African Development Bank now uses $1.25. Okay, so you find out that there are different organizations trying to change it. But this is something that have come down from the 1980s. And so you see that it is something that's perpetuated for a long time, so it takes quite a while to change that perception. Saying that 20% of Nigerians live below $1 a day now does not mean Nigerians are not poor. Take, for instance, the man in the village who is not liquid physically on cash, but also has his farms and he plants yam, cassava, and all that. Now, if we look at the market value of yam, the yam he eats, or the market value of cassava, would we say it's less than $1 a day or more than $1 a day? Also considering that we have not looked at other basic necessities of life: shelter, clothing, even transportation. This is just feeding. By the time we aggregate this together, we will see that there are issues, certainly, with the $1 a day threshold.
Now, the assertion that most Nigerians live on less than $1 a day has for a very long time been the same, 61% of Nigerians living on less than $1 a day. Yes. So, from your findings, what were some of, the issues, with regards to this report?
Yes, what NOI polls have been doing is novel. We started polling in 2006, and moved polling down to where we are today. So it's a really novel idea, giving the average Nigerian a platform. In the past, people had not really consulted to find out if what they are saying or their expenditure is really right. But through our polling approach, we have come up with a structured process where the average Nigerian, the man on the street in Damaturu, the man on the street in Ahoda, the man on the street in Lagos, can be able to actually tell us what they feel about issues affecting us. So what we found, for instance, was that when you look at breakfast, about 30% say they spend less than $1 a day. Okay, when you look at lunch, about 14% say they spend less, and when you look at dinner, about 13%. So you find out that there are that differences. However, when you aggregate that and put it into averages, you find out that only 2 in 10% of Nigerians. Look at the man on the street of Lagos who even sells maybe oranges, or the average man who is a bus conductor. Someone sent us an email saying, "Oh, thank you for your poll. I work with the so-called Sec D and E class, and I see these people eating cow leg, cow tail, and all this manner of food. This is definitely above 160 naira a day." And so that's what we are saying. We are saying, can we have a different measure? Can we take time, look into this measure that have perpetuated for a long time, and come up with something more realistic to our context as Nigerians, basically?
From your findings, can we now conclude that Nigeria has achieved the #1 MDG's goal, which is to eradicate extreme poverty and hunger?
Thank you very much for that question. Actually, this is meant for analysts, for pundits, for academics and scholars. What we do basically as a polling organization is to provide the opinion of the people. So we support government, we support development partners, we support private sector, and we bridge that gap. The gap in information. For a very long time, we say Nigeria, we don't have data. Credible data has been a problem. But NOI polls have been able to bridge that gap. So we allow the policymakers, we allow the analysts, we allow the scholars to take it from there, create discourse in the social sphere, and move on with that, and be able to bring out more reliable, evidence-based approach to policymaking. I think in conclusion, clearly what our polls have shown is that there needs to be a more realistic threshold for the measurement of poverty in Nigeria. And what we've looked at is simply food, the meals of the day. If you consider clothing, if you consider shelter, if you consider transport, you find out that more Nigerians definitely live above the $1 a day threshold. So there's still need for more research to understand the issues deeper, need for more face-to-face surveys, perhaps, to really understand the issues, and so that policymakers can be directed and be guided with more evidence in terms of their policy making.